Most people come to YouTube with the same belief. If I just post good content, YouTube will push it out. But in my 365 days on YouTube, I learned things the hard way. Number one, good content does not guarantee visibility. Hard work sometimes alone is not enough, and passion without strategy eventually leads to burnout. So in this video, I will be sharing with you my experience of what YouTube taught me in 365 days. So this is not theory, this is not some guru advice. I got a lot of guru advices that put me in trouble. This is from a point of sharing with you my level of consistency, my experiments, my numerous failures. I'm talking about things I learned in real time. So this is not a viral growth story. This is not a survival story. This is basically for you if you're a content creator or aspiring YouTuber and you feel like you've been trying so many things and you're not getting any results, then this video is for you. So when I came on YouTube, I didn't just stroll in casually. I came determined. I came ready to hit the ground running. I already have a professional background, clear communication skills, and of course the confidence that consistency would eventually work. But I underestimated the amount of noise that is on YouTube and still on YouTube at the moment. And what I mean by noise is everyone is talking, everyone is teaching, everyone is positioning themselves as some guru, telling you this way works, that way does not work, this one does not work. It was a lot of noise and distraction, and being able to determine what is real or what is true and what is a lie. Because in the process of experimenting, you can actually experiment on things that will help you, that will end up making you lose your channel, get demonetized, or maybe even lose all your channels. I'm sure you already would have heard stories about many creators that experimented one thing or the other innocently and ended up getting strikes or losing their channel. So that was the first thing I underestimated on YouTube. So really, it's not about how much eloquent you are or how well presentable your packaging and all that. You need to have clarity on YouTube. It's so important, because if you don't have clarity, the amount of noise and guru advice you get on YouTube will confuse you and put you into a lot of trouble. So one of my biggest and earliest breakthroughs came from my BBNaija content, that is Big Brother Nigeria content. I would say I stumbled on it through a friend who just suggested I should do it. Now, why am I saying biggest and earliest is because this channel currently is around 5 years old. Yes, 5 years old. And I had been told by gurus that the older the channel is, the more difficult it is to monetize the channel. I have other channels, but I have two that are the oldest. I opened around the same time. This is the oldest of them all. And I was really obsessed and worried about getting this particular channel monetized. So when my friend suggested I start the BBNaija content, because I'm originally a storyteller, I was a bit skeptical about it, because I saw it as this blog gossip kind of thing, and coming from a very strict and structured professional background, I really didn't think I would want to get into that position. And one thing I learned from it anyway is that people's perspectives and values and ideologies always differ. So the lesson from this is YouTube rewards perspective, not just your presence. So you just showing up consistently, and this is to tell you that consistency means different things to different people. So for some people, consistency is dropping your videos 3 times a week. Some is once a week. But I would tell you something, that to be able to survive the long haul, because YouTube is long term, not short term, dropping videos once a week makes sense than dropping 3 times a week. Because at a point you could get what they call a writer's rot, or more like you may not have an idea of what content you want to put out. And life people. It's not every time that you'll be free enough to be shooting videos. You know what it takes. You have to shoot the video, you have to, before even shooting the video, you have to write the script, you have to think, you have to brainstorm, you have to research, you have to see what competitors. Thing I learned in my 365 days on YouTube prior to getting monetized is finding your niche. And this was a major concern for me, and it is a major concern for many creators, both young creators and even older creators, because at a point you find out that your style could change, your ideologies, your values, your way of thinking, your perspectives on many things will change. Maybe you love telling stories and all of a sudden you don't want to tell stories anymore. So life happens, different things happen, environmental things influence us that help us to change maybe decisions we've had earlier when you started. So what I'm trying to tell you is that you don't need to imprison yourself in a particular niche. If you feel it's not working for you, find a way to evolve out of it. But you just have to be careful, because if you have so many followers, it's easier for a younger brand or a younger creator to change niche. But for someone who already has so many followers, changing niche may be very technical, because you may lose a lot of views at the end of the day. But it's something that you really need to work on. So one of the things I also learned, apart from the fact that YouTube rewards those with their own perspective and creativity, is being able to discover your own niche. Now, finding your niche doesn't happen in one day. It doesn't happen in 2 days. It doesn't even happen in weeks. It usually happens in months and sometimes years. Like I said, this channel is about 5 years old, so you can imagine how long it took me to decide exactly where I want to stay put. Now, have I been tempted to change niche? Yes, because I see sometimes I drop videos, I may just get really very small views, and I see other creators getting thousands and thousands of views. And of course, we're on YouTube to make money. I want to make money, so I'm like, okay, should I change niche again? But then I would only be doing myself a great disservice. So once you've decided the niche you want to be in, I usually advise, based on what I've experienced, stick with it for at least 3 to 6 months. So in 365 days of my experience on YouTube, another very major lesson I learned is the thumbnails. Thumbnails almost broke me to pieces. I learned the hard way. Most times all I cared about was the content itself, shooting the content, what did I have to say. I concentrated so much on the script. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't concentrate on your script or your video or your editing, but the thumbnail is the first thing that attracts people to your video. I realized I had some really great videos, but the thumbnails were either they had too many colors, they were saying too many things at the same time. I wanted my pictures to be there, I wanted the words to be so much. At the end of the day, what I learned is that thumbnail is actually what attracts people, stops them from scrolling to the next thing. So when your thumbnail attracts them, then they are interested to check out what is in your video. At the end of the day, it is the video that keeps them, but the thumbnail calls them. So if your thumbnail is not good, no matter how beautiful or wonderful your video is, you just find people skipping past your content. So I had a lot of situations where I needed to change thumbnails about 3 times for a particular video. So what I do is, when I change the thumbnail, I wait for a few days. If I see it's not doing well, like I had a particular video I did about Dede Ashiogo, one of the BBNaija housemates. And when I did the video, I think within 24 hours, in comparison to another video I had, I got about let me just say about 1,000 views. And I was like, no, Dede at that time there was so much noise about her. So I was like, no, I'm supposed to get more views. So I changed the thumbnail, and in a few days I got over 10,000 views, and I was still getting views even long after. In fact, that video alone gave me almost 500 watch hours, if not more. So that is a lesson I learned on YouTube. Your thumbnail says so much. In fact, I think I would suggest that if you have a video idea, create your thumbnail first to see what your competitors in the same niche are doing with you. So the lesson here is, always have your own thoughts and ideas. Of course, not offensive, so you don't break any YouTube rules. YouTube likes people having their own level of creativity, their own thoughts, because your ideas always be different from other people. So in my own case, I wasn't even competing against bloggers. It was more or less like sharing my own, or I refused to see it as a competition. It was more like, okay, 10 people have spoken about this particular issue, but I want to say something about this issue in my own voice, my own thoughts, what I think. Now, here's another thing. Not everybody is going to agree with your thoughts or agree with your ideas. So just prepare yourself for bashing. Whatever it is, as long as you're respectful and polite to the entire YouTube community, then you are safe. So that is what I learned from my big break, and it got me monetized at the end of the day. Now, I'm not saying rush and go into BBNaija content. If that is not your niche or your line, then that may be a bit of a problem. But it's always good to always find out people doing something similar to what you are doing, because I had to consistently rebrand till I found where my own strength could really shine through. So the lesson here is, no matter how fantastic your video is, if your thumbnail is weak, your video will fail, because you end up having a low CTR rate, and you need to have a high CTR rate for YouTube to recognize that people are interested in your video, because it's one thing for people to click, it's another for people to stay and watch your video either halfway or to the end. I mean, if you get people to watch your video up to 2-3 minutes, that's usually not so bad, though I know for some people who say that's bad, but that's not so bad. So at the end of the day, you need to really pay attention to your thumbnail. So the next thing I learned is scripting. If you just ramble on YouTube, YouTube will punish you. But if you work with scripting, YouTube will reward you. And this is what I mean. When you start your video, everybody says start with a powerful hook. That is true. But also start with the statement of problem. What problem are you trying to solve, right? Because scripting helps you to work on your retention memory. That is to help you to learn how to remember things. You don't have to say word for word, but it gives you an idea, it gives you structure. So if you're shooting a video without structure, your audience will notice that you're just rambling, and at the end of the day, the attention span will drop off. Now remember that your videos is not for everyone, so everyone can't be satisfied with how you talk, how you explain, your grammar, your fluency, and every other thing. So yes, you will appeal to some, you may not appeal to all, but at the end of the day, if what you're saying makes sense and there's some value, more and more people will come to you. It just takes time, it just takes patience. I mean, I don't have all the views I wish I would love to have, but I'm still work in progress. So that's why YouTube is for the long haul. You keep working, you keep working, you keep trying to improve till you get better. So don't think you know it all. Don't think your brain is a computer brain. Get a script. ChatGPT can help you to do that. You know, learn the words. If you have to cram, if you're good at cramming, if not, rehearse in front of the mirror, and then get in front of the camera and start something. Don't wait to be perfect, because that is also a killer and a setback, you know, but make sure you work with a script. It will give you a proper structure of what to say, when to say, and how to say it. I learned in my 365 days on YouTube is consistency. Now everybody, I mentioned this earlier in the video about consistency, how people interpret consistency. To some people it's dropping videos 3 times a week, to some people it's dropping videos every day, to some people it's dropping videos once a week. But the thing is, you need to first of all understand what you're trying to achieve. So say for instance you've stopped having views on your channels, and this is something I have personally tried. Maybe I'm changing niche, maybe I feel like I've been dropping crap for a while. I stay off dropping videos for about 2-3 weeks, and this is something many big YouTubers talk about, and it actually works. So it's more like trying to reset the algorithm in your favor, especially if you feel you're not getting the kind of views you want. Of course, the quality of your content and your thumbnail, as I said before, are very important, right? So for the consistency, depending on what you're trying to achieve, sometimes posting every day for like 20-30 days works like magic. Then after a while you slow down. So there are different reasons why people post like that, but generally at the end of the day, you need to start with something you can be consistent on, something that will not choke you, because trust me, many of us have other things we do apart from YouTube, and it will not make sense for you to post 3 videos every week and then you're off YouTube for 3 months. So you're just going to, your audience will just feel that you're not serious. So it's better you're posting 1 video per week and you're consistent the entire year. There are 3 videos this week, and then for the next 4 months we don't see you on YouTube again. So that is my own interpretation of consistency, but you can tell me what you think in the comments and what exactly has worked for you. But at the end of the day, this is what I am personally settling for in the coming years, to at least post 1 video every week. If I do more than that, hurrah, but at least, at the very least, 1 video per week. And this is what I have learned in my 365 days on YouTube. These are the core lessons that I learned. YouTube rewards clarity and not noise. Scripting works like magic. It helps your memory and helps you to sound structured. Thumbnail is so important. You need to pay more attention to it, because a weak thumbnail is enough to destroy a great video. Trends bring people, but your own ideology actually keeps them. YouTube is a mirror. It exposes your belief, it exposes your discipline, it exposes your patience, and it forces you to grow, well, positively, if you wish to grow positively. And if you're not patient, trust me, you will end up quitting on YouTube. So this is me telling you not to quit YouTube. Just keep going 1 day at a time, and don't compare your race to somebody who has been active on YouTube for 5 years as against you that just joined YouTube for 5 days or 5 months. Still watching up until this time, and you're still learning and you're still showing up as much as you can, This is me telling you not to quit. This is me telling you that if I, who had a 5-year-old channel, could get monetized, then you can get monetized too. It didn't happen overnight. I had to apply a lot of patience, a lot of discipline, a lot of research and watching people. I'm just saying, take your journey one day at a time and try to decide for you what consistency means, and keep making sure that you're trying to improve 1% better than who you were yesterday. So I hope you learned something new. This is me just sharing my experience, and I hope you were able to gain value while watching this and learning 1 or 2 things that you can apply to your channel. And if you liked this, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course share this channel with your friends and family, and let's grow together. Take care.